Hey everyone, it's Michael Block. You may know me from several online endeavors, such as being the former Orlando Auto Examiner, my website Boosted News, my podcast Crank Journal, and also as being an admin of the Facebook group Obscure Cars for Sale. So, speaking of obscure cars, we are going to take a little bit of a in-depth look today at what has the potential to be, but is most likely, my dumbest purchase I've ever made in my life. But you know what? YOLO or something. This, standing behind me, is my 1993 Ford Spectron XL-T Turbo. So if you were living in a Western country and you're watching this video, you're probably saying to yourself, what in God's creation is a Ford Spectron? Well, in Japan, Mazda had great success with their Bongo van. So much success, in fact, that it was rebadged by several different automakers, including Mazda, Kia, and actually Nissan in some regards. Now, let me get this out of the way right off the bat. Those Nissan wheels did not come factory. Someone put those on in Japan. I believe them to either be off of a U12 Nissan Bluebird, the one that does not look like an Altima, or a Nissan Prairie Joy, the one that came after the Access that we got here in America. But someone put those on because they're the same lug pattern. They probably wanted to upgrade from Steelies. I will be changing that soon. But anyway, this is a version of the Mazda Bongo that is called the Ford Spectron. It is an 8-seater van. 3 rows, of course, as you can see. And also got the quite nifty spoiler there, which is definitely necessary when you have 71 horsepower at your disposal. But anyway, this is a Ford Spectron XL-T, which is a rebadge of a Mazda Bongo. Why did I buy it? Because I wanted it. I don't have any better explanation for you than that. I like weird and obnoxious and forgotten and obscure vehicles, and that's why I have this. So let's take a little tour. So, yes, you are looking at a JDM Ford. Obviously, I'm sitting on the right side of the vehicle because this was originally sold in Japan, but yes, you are in the driver's seat with me right now in a JDM Ford. I don't know if it'll come through on the video, but there is actually some Japanese guidance here as to maintenance, and there is a sticker here showing the last time the vehicle was inspected. And there's some other fun Japanese stuff. You can see up here on the mirror, there's a little warning probably about using seatbelts. So, as is customary for many Japanese vans of this era, this being in 1993, aside from obviously there being at least some attention paid to aerodynamics in the form of the raked windshield, it's really just a single box design. It is a box on wheels. There is no separate compartment, if you will, for the engine. So, where is the engine? Well, if you undo these latches under the passenger seat, which you have to dig up the carpet to kind of feel your way in there to find the latches. You lift up the passenger seat, and there's a little strap here right next to the seat belt. It took me actually a little while to find that strap and figure out what it was for, but there under the passenger seat is a Mazda RF 2-liter turbodiesel. You can actually, if you look closely there right on the timing cover, you can see the RF engine code. It makes 71 horsepower, and I'm estimating somewhere in the range of about 150 torque or so. So if you actually, get the revs above 3,000 and put your foot into it and say third gear, it actually does have a little bit of torque to merge up with the speeds of American traffic, but that's about it. This is definitely a you'll get there when you get there type of vehicle. It definitely teaches you some patience for sure, especially here in the United States of America. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, how on earth do you get parts for this thing? Well, believe it or not, this engine did have some usage in the United States of America, although the cars that did have it have been virtually wiped out of existence. There was a 1984, 1985 Mazda 626 diesel, and there was also a Ford Tempo and Ford Escort, and the Mercury Lynx and the Mercury Topaz that used this Mazda RF diesel engine, although none of those US spec engines had a turbocharger. So the turbocharger is definitely unique to this vehicle. That said, I do have a contact in Japan who has been most helpful over the past few years getting me parts for my other JDM car, my Legacy B4 RSK, and he actually has some parts on the way to me right now for this vehicle. There is one issue with it currently. It has a slight, not hardly severe, but slight lower radiator hose leak, and I do actually have radiator hoses and some other parts on the way from Japan for this vehicle. But right there is the engine. As you can see, the gear shift actually, some people have called it backwards. Backwards is not technically correct. It's just, I say this, you know how the Cobra kit car, like a Shelby Cobra kit car, has the shifter knob actually far ahead of you, even though the shift linkage is behind you. Consider it the exact opposite of that. The shifter still works as it normally does, but the shifter's just way angled behind the linkage, if you will, rather than ahead of it. So yes, Ford offered doilies for their vehicles made in Japan. How kawaii is that? Alright, so we come around to the back. As you can see, it has curtains. Yes, they do slide, and if you so desire, yes, you can spread them out, and you can actually have some privacy in the back of your Spectron. But what is particularly amazing is the factory rear AC, which is controllable here with the controls for the fan speed and temperature. And also, if you see there, I don't know if the video is picking it up, but there is a control for the cooler. Right here it's called a multi-box, but it's actually a little box where you can put your soft drinks or juices or whatever, and it will keep them, refrigerated isn't really the right word, but it will keep them as cool as it can with the rear AC running. So, if you are in the second row, you are actually looking at a shelf which contains the engine. This is the where the back of the engine is right here. The turbo is actually right there. And then you've got your second and third row seats. Now, here is the pièce de résistance of the entire vehicle. Are you ready for this? You hit this lever here, and the entire second row seat rotates 180 degrees. That way, you can actually, once you're parked, you can have yourself a little party back here with the third row where you are facing each other. Under here, under the second row, is your jack and tools. Really, the only other thing wrong with this Spectron is, unfortunately, the headliner is falling down quite badly, which is something I will address at some point. But this is actually behind the third row. This is the cargo area, and if you so choose, you can lay both second and third row seat backs flat, where you can have either a very flat cargo area or a bed, whichever works for you. This mirror in the back window and this convex mirror here in the front are your blind spot monitoring and reverse camera. This isn't a new invention, folks. We were just doing it a lot cheaper back then. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope this serves as motivation or inspiration to some of you that if you are like me and you have a desire to own a particularly unusual or oddball car here in the United States, it can be done. It's not impossible. Relish in your deepest, darkest fantasies and just go do it. Go buy it. Thanks for watching.